Your voice dismantles stigma, nurses shifting healthcare culture, and cannabis law. So we all have a story about how we learned about medical cannabis. I enjoyed Heather's story. Mine is a little bit different and a little bit later in life. It was 2018 and I was co-hosting and executive producing a radio show, a live radio show on the internet. And we had an interviewee who was a physician, and he was known for going to the Capitol, and he was advocating to expand the list of reasons why you can be a medical cannabis patient. And so I knew about cannabis. I had smoked it when I was 18 or so. I knew what that was all about. I knew it was all about just getting high, and I saw them out there before the interview preparing. And I get it. I got what they were up to. But after I heard his story, it changed my life. Hi, my name is Marilyn Pierce, and I am known as the Cannabis Nurse Connector because I answer questions that you can't ask your pastor, your family member, your doctor sometimes, or your family about medical cannabis. And stigma is one of the reasons why we become disconnected with the truth. It's one of the most prohibitive reasons that we can't talk openly about medical cannabis, about this topic. And the definition of stigma is, from Merriam-Webster, a negative, unfair belief that society or people have. And a belief is something that you've said over and over in your head so many times you believe that it's true. May or may not be. Goffman studied stigma, and he said it's a part of yourself that's socially devalued. It becomes morally offensive what you're doing. So to finish the story about the physician, he was a kind man, a kind physician. He had his own practice. He was in palliative care, hospice. He took care of chronic pain patients. He prescribed opioids for people and treated all the side effects of that. And one day he was an athlete and he was playing basketball, and he went headfirst into the chest of another teammate and felt and heard something. And it turns out he broke his neck. He fractured his cervical spine. 2 surgeries, and 2 years later, this physician had become one of his own patients. He was dependent on opioids. He was treating himself for the side effects of the opioids. He was terribly depressed. He was losing his business. He couldn't work. And he even said and disclosed that he considered suicide until he found medical cannabis. It changed his life, and his story changed mine. So stigma, or disconnection from the truth about medical cannabis, is supported on 3 levels: our laws and our society, healthcare, which a lot of us have worked in or still work in, and the policies they have, and also our personal beliefs. So let's start with laws and society. Stigma shapes laws. Now, we know that federally, that's a bigger picture, and things will change on June 29th or 30th or whenever they decide, and whatever's going to happen. We're not quite sure. But in the meantime, all of the states have made their own special laws around medical cannabis and around what we would call adult use cannabis as well. And I don't call it recreational because I do not believe that adults use cannabis recreationally, generally speaking. Most of them are treating themselves as they would anyone else, using tools to manage stress and control this very stressful and toxic environment we have. So each of the laws of the states are different, though the green states are adult use states. The blue states are you can only use medical cannabis. They have medical laws. And the orange ones are more restrictive, and the white ones have no laws about medical cannabis at all. It's absolutely not even addressed. And so and each state is very different in its own laws. The 23 states and 3 territories are adult use. I live in Georgia. We have medical cannabis. We are blue, so we have a medical cannabis program. But if I am not a medical cannabis patient with a card and I have possession of of any cannabis, then I can be arrested, convicted, and put in prison. So it still exists. The stigma and the fear still exist. But nurses, such as ourselves on this panel, are experts. And so we need to work to teach, first of all, our legislators. You'll find as a nurse that they think we're smart and they believe us, which is cool because we are. And we're respected as a profession. So we're thought of as the smartest person in the room. And so when you are called up to speak, take advantage of that. Be the nurse you are, because nurses can support changing law. Know who your representatives are, know their position on cannabis, watch how they vote, and learn how your state operates. Show up for committee meetings. I have to be honest, I took a class that taught me how my legislation works. I did not know, and I had to take the class twice. So learn and be a part of that opportunity to teach legislators. I wanted to tell another really quick story about teaching legislators. So I'm going to go back here. I was on a meeting with NORML, which is the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, been around for decades. And there was a local chapter and there was a politician on, they were running for office. And so they came on and I looked this politician up, and she was a veteran. She had served in 2 armed forces. She had a PhD. She had been serving on veteran committees in our state. And she was a woman of integrity and knowledge, and I respected her. But when she began to speak to us, she had rhetoric and just all the lies that they're taught, all the propaganda that is spewed in legislation and in laws and in the arena of legislators. So I told her, because I looked her up, I said, thank you. First of all, thank you for serving our country. I have great respect and appreciation for all that you've done. Thank you for being a veteran. Thank you for serving on committees and representing veterans. And I know you're a woman of integrity and knowledge because you have a PhD. And I know that you would not come somewhere and want to represent yourself in a way other than integrity and respect. And so I'm going to tell you that some of the things that you have said are not exactly true. Can we talk about that and maybe get things straight, because I know you want to represent integrity and knowledge. And the rest of the meeting was all of us sharing together. So creating a safe space for people to be able to come outside of their beliefs and learn. That's what I did. And I wish that for all. And now we need to do it in healthcare, because we have all worked in healthcare, or we currently work in healthcare. And historically, the physicians that we work with came from medical schools that did not teach about medical cannabis. It just wasn't managed that way. They were taught that it was a Schedule I drug and there was no medical value. And a lot of them came through during the reefer madness era too. Now, nurses, you would think, would learn more, but in 2022, there was a study with nursing students, and they said that they felt completely unprepared to talk about medical cannabis to patients, that they learned most of their information from the news and then from their patients. So what happens, generally speaking, when people don't know and they're fearful of the consequences and the stigma, that it leads to silence, and silence leads to harm, where our patients don't know and where nothing is spoken of. So this doesn't need to be the case in nursing. I'm going to go over this really quickly, but in 2018, the National Council of State Board of Nursing didn't suggest, didn't just guide, didn't just put out there. They mandated that nurses know their state laws and regulations, the endocannabinoid system, pharmacology, safety, and that they approach their patients non-judgmentally in a collaborative way. That was the mandate in 2018. And then almost 3 years ago, to be 3 years in September, the American Nurses Association declared cannabis as a nursing specialty. This is a 5 million nurses that are representing us politically. This is our political arm, our strength. They determined that we need to develop evidence-based standards, and that this was definitely a medicine that was that needed to be understood and was a specialty. So nursing in our profession provides permission and guidance and mandating us to speak about it. But stigma stops us. Stigma stops us from acting on that permission. You may worry about being the one that would be more likely to be drug tested, or we might lose our job or not be promoted or lose respect within our cultural healthcare environment. So there's a lot of fear, and stigma and fear and disconnection all go together. I'll tell a personal story when I get into the personal part of this. I was about 18 years old, and I was in a car. I brought the car, and my friend Debbie brought the weed. And we were in a parking lot, and there was lots of smoke. And one day, at this time when we were in the parking lot, all of a sudden there were 2 police cars that came up right next to us, pulled up right next to us on either side, and got out. And we were pretty much busted. Now, one thing about in the late 1970s in my hometown, there were 2 places that were open 24 hours. That was one gas station and the Dunkin' Donuts, which gave free coffee and donuts to all the police officers all night long. And Debbie worked nights at Dunkin' Donuts. So when the police saw Debbie, they were like, "Oh, hey, Deb, how you doing? Yeah, y'all need to just kind of move along." And I was like, phew, got out of that one, but it left an indelible mark on me. Even more so, I was more afraid than ever of cannabis. I was more afraid to get busted. If that had happened, it would have changed the whole trajectory of my life. And I continued to have that fear. And I have to admit that even to this day, when I see a cannabis leaf, I have a subconscious kind of reaction of fear to seeing it. I have that stigma inside me, because stigma lives inside of all of us. The disconnection from the truth. It's a part of our history. It's something that we believe, even though we don't know why, or maybe we don't know why. It's a part of our patient's history. Maybe something they experienced, or their family, or whatever they've gone through in their history. It's a part of healthcare workers' history. There's a reason people aren't talking. They're afraid as well. And it's a part of our legislators' history. But being aware of this is the first step. It's step 1 in overcoming stigma. So we need to work to change stigma by being aware, anticipate that it's going to be present. And then after we do that, like for instance, what I did with the legislator, I looked her up and I supported her and I gave her a safe place. Then when she became relaxed and open, we were able to talk to her. And education is the second part. The more we know and learn, the better it will be. The more we will become connected. And then finally, we will be able to normalize speaking openly and honestly and connecting about this option, this beautiful plant option that may be an answer to many people's prayers. It's a domino effect. Every legislator you reach is a law that may shift, and every colleague that you educate is a voice that would multiply. Every patient conversation is an opportunity to move this forward. So speak for the laws that need to change, and speak for the colleague who's not been informed. Speak for the patients who are afraid to ask for good reason. And it's uncomfortable, and discomfort is something that I have this in this little burst here. Growth is determined by the amount of discomfort you tolerate. So I encourage us all to grow. This is my call to action. You are not one nurse. You are not one person. You are the movement. You are the revolution. Staying silent is a choice, and that will lead to disconnection and perpetuation of stigma. So if you are all in the room with me, I'd get you all to do this with me. So I promise that I will speak as well. And together we speak and be the change that we all wish to see. I thank you.
my mind. One voice of courage, one life redesigned. What I believed wasn't all true. Sometimes the truth is waiting inside you. Fear builds walls, truth builds bridges. One honest conversation changes everything. Raise your voice, let your light shine through. One conversation can change someone's truth. Hope grows louder every time we speak. Together we're stronger, together we're free. Your voice dismantles stigma. One heart, one story, one voice at a time. Some are afraid to ask the question. Some stay silent to hide the pain. But healing begins when someone listens and love is spoken without shame. Every patient, every friend, every open heart can begin again. Raise your voice, let your light shine through. One conversation can change someone's truth. One heart, one story, one voice at a time. Speak for the patient who's afraid to ask. Speak for the nurse who doesn't know yet. Speak for tomorrow, speak for today. Every voice lights another way. One voice becomes two, two become 10. Then a movement begins. Raise your voice, the future is calling. Stand together, keep love falling. Every truth breaks another chain. Hope keeps rising again and again. Your voice dismantles stigma. We are the movement, we are the change. Together we speak. One voice becomes another. One heart finds another. One conversation changes everything.